I always believed that our marriage was perfect. People would often comment on how strong our relationship seemed, the kind that made others envious. It was the kind of love people admired. Two souls forever connected, always in sync, completing each other's sentences without effort. From the moment we met, I knew he was the one I was meant to be with. He made me feel treasured, special, like I was irreplaceable. Our life together felt like a beautiful tapestry, woven with care. We built a home filled with warmth, shared dreams, and peaceful moments where love flowed naturally. He would surprise me with flowers for no reason at all, or plan spontaneous weekend getaways. On cold nights, he'd pull me close, whispering that no one could ever mean as much to him as I did. I trusted him completely. There was never a reason to doubt him. But lately, things started to shift. At first, it was subtle, longer hours at work, conversations that drifted off track, moments when his gaze seemed distant, distracted. A small feeling of unease crept into my heart, but I told myself it was just stress, something every couple goes through from time to time. Still, the uncertainty grew, slowly but steadily. Then, one evening, it happened. We were lying in bed. The soft glow of the room surrounding us, his arm resting casually over my waist. He sighed, his voice heavy with thought. "There's something I've been thinking about," he said, his tone casual, almost too calm. "It's just a passing thought. Nothing serious." I smiled, expecting him to share something lighthearted, maybe a dream about a new adventure or a whimsical idea. "Sure," I replied. His fingers traced patterns on my skin, making me smile despite myself. "I've been thinking about the things that test the limits of love," he continued, his voice almost absent. A sudden chill filled the room and I felt a shiver run down my spine. This didn't feel like the usual playful musings. "Just curiosity," he added, though his words felt cold, distant. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. I laughed, though it felt hollow, forced. "That's not funny," I said, trying to dismiss the unease rising in my chest. "This is no joke," he replied, his voice steady but strangely distant. "Love isn't just a feeling. It's more of a fantasy, a dream we all carry, a desire that may never be fulfilled." I turned to face him, searching his eyes for the man I thought I knew. "Are you looking for reassurance?" I asked, my voice trembling. "No," he replied quickly. "I'm just saying we both know it might not break us. We understand that, right?" I couldn't find the words. My heart raced and my mind was flooded with confusion. He cupped my face in his hands, his eyes filled with desperation. "I love you. I always will. But do you ever wonder, what if I walked away?" The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I could barely respond. "Absolutely not," I managed, though doubt began to creep in. "This is just a passing thought, isn't it?" He nodded slowly. "It's nothing, really. Just a fleeting idea," he murmured, as if trying to convince himself as much as me. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. I wanted to believe it was just a passing fancy, but deep down, I knew it meant more. In the weeks that followed, he brought it up again, carefully, deliberately. Each time I felt a little more of myself slipping away. The anger bubbled up first. How could he even think this? Was I not enough for him? But his response was always the same. "It's just curiosity. It's not about you. It's about something I need to understand." That word, curiosity, made my stomach turn. I couldn't stop myself from wondering if he had already found someone else, someone who made him think these thoughts. Or had I simply stopped being enough for him? The paranoia began to gnaw at me. I found myself looking at his phone when he wasn't around, studying his face for any sign of something I wasn't supposed to see. "You're overthinking this," he told me one night. "You're making something out of nothing." But the doubt lingered. What if he was right? What if I was just imagining things? Then one evening, he framed the question differently. "What if I let you explore the same?" He asked, watching me closely, as though his scrutiny would somehow make things even. I let out a bitter laugh. This isn't about that, I replied, trying to focus on what really mattered. You just want permission to act on your desires, don't you? He didn't deny it, and that silence spoke louder than words ever could. For days, that thought haunted me. What would happen if I said no? Would it drive him further away? Would he leave even if I tried to hold on? I couldn't shake the feeling that something was slipping through my fingers, no matter how hard I clung to it. I wanted to be strong. I wanted to stand my ground and remind him that my love wasn't something to be tossed aside for the sake of an illusion. But fear took over. Fear of losing him. Fear that he might already be halfway gone. Finally, one night, after countless sleepless nights and aching conversations, I gave in. Very well, I said, the words feeling heavy in my mouth. His face lit up, his eyes shining with an anticipation I couldn't understand. I felt numb, as though I had just given away a piece of myself that I would never get back. Do you really believe that? He asked, his voice uncertain, but a flicker of hope in his eyes. I wasn't sure anymore. I wasn't sure of anything. But I nodded, perhaps hoping that this would be enough to keep him. Perhaps, just perhaps, it would be enough to hold on to him. But as soon as I said yes, something shifted between us. It was subtle, but undeniable. He seemed lighter, freer, as though a burden had been lifted from him. I convinced myself it was just my imagination, that nothing had really changed. But deep down, I knew I had lost something. Days passed, and I watched as he grew more distant. More immersed in his phone, his mood brightening in ways I hadn't seen in months. I wondered if he was already planning his next steps, moving further away from me. Then one evening he told me. It was inevitable, it seemed, the way he spoke about it with such calmness, as though nothing had changed. I'm going to meet her, he said, and for the first time I didn't know how to respond. I had always thought I was prepared for this moment, but the truth was, I wasn't. The pain of it hit me like crashing down and sweeping everything else away. My heart sank as he walked out the door, heading toward her, and I realized too late that I had just lost him. I found myself alone in our bedroom, a gaze fixed on the ceiling above. Every thought echoed in my minda. Relentless loop of memorious vows we exchanged, the way his gaze would linger on meth nights. He enveloped me in his arms, whispering promises of eternity. Now I found myself alone, awaiting the return of the man I once believed belonged solely to USA's. He stepped over the threshold there. Was not a trace of guilt in his demeanor, appeared if anything quite content, at ease, the one questionas. Though this had merely been an extended shift at the office, I yearned to unleash a Crido extract. Every nuance to compel him to experience the same excruciating burden that bore down on my. I refrained. I was already aware of the answer instead. I posed the one question that filled me with dread. You ever truly loved Nefer, a fleeting instanthus? Expression wavered before he let out a resigned certainly. I do, yet it fell short of providing the clarity I sought, for love was never meant to evoke such emotions. It was never meant to make you feel like an outsider in your own union. In that moment, clarity washed over me. He had never sought approval. I remained composite, had been seeking an escape. I remained composed. I remained silent. Remained still, allowing the heaviness of everything to envelop Meth's most troubling aspect. Was not the act itself. I had allowed him to enter my world. I had persuaded myself that this was the sole path to retain him. He collided through the house he is. Though the world outside had remained untouched, perhaps for him nothing had truly changed yet. For me, the world unfolded in an entirely different manner. His touch was unfamiliar, his voice a mere whisper in the distance. I stopped waiting for messages that once carried warmth, accepting the quiet version of myself that had battled for our cause has vanished at him, slipped by transforming days into weeks. Distance between us continued to grow, nourished by silences. Initial Aya made an effort to conceal it, hide it. As time passed, he ceased to make the effort. Signs of another life began, would return home. Signs of another life began to shadow his presence. Saya never inquired about my feelings, was under no obligation to do so, was already aware. As the evening drew to a close and he prepared to depart, I found the courage to finally voice my thoughts. Though you have any intention of helping me, paused, a heavy sigh escaping his lips. I'm uncertain it was the truest statement he had uttered. In Aegis, that was the instant I realized my journey had reached its conclusion. I rose to my feet, moved past him, and began to gather my belongings into a bag. Observed me, initially perplexed, then filled with concern. What are you up to, I chose? Not to respond, I found it unnecessary. After what felt like an eternity, I finally sensed a return to my true self, Nud. The shattered, yearning version that had pleaded for his affectionate. The woman who had lingered in quietude, anticipating his decision. To select Harry had grown weary of waiting. Just as I reached for my quiche, finally broke the silence. I never wished to part with you. Pivoted to confront he, the profound void echoing within Methan. You ought to have held on to Mueth, but I stepped away, not only from the home we built, but from the version of myself that believed love alone could endure everything. For love, true love, out never to have compelled me to remain.